NECA asked the question, what if a 2010 Predator existed in the 80s? Here's your look at the new NECA toys. This is the Predator Berserker Predator with removable mask and spring-activated cannon. The stage is set for the ultimate battle between the universe's two most ferocious enemies. It's the gruesome aliens against the big game hunting predator. Who will win? The beast or the hunter? Can the predator stop the evil aliens before the galaxy is destroyed? The very first thing this humbled reviewer is going to provide to you, members of the mob, is exactly how tall this Berserker Predator stands. Now, it's debatable. Do you want to count it right to the top of his shoulder-mounted cannon, or do you want to go to the top of his helmet? We're going to go to the top of his helmet, only because the cannon is removable. We'll talk about that in a second. Take the tape measure and put it right to the very top of his head. According to the readout, the Berserker Predator from the new Classics line stands almost 6. 5.9 to be exact, and that switches over in centimeters as being 15 centimeters exactly. The Classics rendition of Berserker comes with some accessories. We'll have a look at those right now. Whilst we do this, I'd also like to send out a big thank you to the folks over at NECA Toys for providing this sample. The first thing he comes included with is the blade mounted, the gauntlet mounted blade that's going to attach to the side of the figure. One thing I also want to stress too is the fact that the figure doesn't come included with a stand. I would recommend, if you are looking to pick this one up for yourself, make sure you have a bunch of these kicking around, because the posture, the way that they've posed the figure, they've actually got him in a slightly bent back foot. As you can see, it's arched back. Sort of a nod to the original Kenner line that this classic line of Predator and Alien figures are going to be based from. Anyways, what were we talking about? Yes, the blade on the gauntlet. See the little slot right there? This little tab piece connects right to the slot and fits into place, just like so. There you go. It's similar to what he would have had in the movie, sort of more stylized. The Berserker Predator made his appearance in the 2010 live-action film Predators. Remember that one? Wasn't a bad film. Wasn't a bad film at all, and introduced some new Predator designs, including the Berserker. The other thing he comes included with is this shoulder-mounted cannon. I've just put the figure down for the time being so you guys can see, as I certainly don't want to fire this and have this shoot across the room. He does actually have firing missiles, and the missiles themselves can be a little stubborn at times. Sometimes they fit, sometimes they don't. I don't know why specifically. There we go. I just maybe didn't have it far enough in. The spring isn't the strongest, mind you. There we go. I guess it's just as a safety precaution. I mean, we've now gotten out of the realm of 80s toys where things could shoot across the room and knock somebody's eye out, kind of like Ralphie with the Red Ryder BB gun. So you want to be careful of that. As I said, it does fire, and fired right into my hand and off onto the floor. Let's go ahead and pick that up. No floor. That's a bad floor. That's a bad floor. Anyways, we're going to put the missile back in. That's probably not the most smartest of ways, but I just want to show you what the missile... Actually, you know what? We'll just pop this out so you guys can see. Just want to show you the gradient of coloring. Kind of looks like a popsicle. It starts white, goes blue, then white once again. Again, a nice simplified version of it. I'm resisting the urge to pop that back in its chamber, because what I want to do is show you guys where that tabs into place. So the reverse, see how there's a slot here, and there's a tab right there. There's only one way it's going to go. It specifically tells you. Well, you also know that cannons on Predators only go one way. They could go this way, but that's not going to help him at all, firing whatever target's in front of him. It sits relatively secure. Actually, to its credit, it sits better than a lot of the classic Predators where they have to like attach. You know, those ultimate Predators usually have a much smaller tab point. The Classics Predator versus the Ultimate Predator seems to tab into place just a little bit more securely. The other thing that I did not do at the beginning of this review was to remove the mask. Yes, Virginia, the mask is removable. I think you were asking something about Santa Claus too. I'm going to go ahead and pop that off. And the mask itself is friction fitted. In other words, the shape of the mask fits over the profile of the face. First, before we do that, I want to show you what the face looks like. You get classic Predator happening here, like the Jungle Hunter design. But then you've got the additional jaw piece that this particular Predator had. I really like that. We're going to go ahead and pop that off nonetheless, though. And there is what the ugly mug of the Berserker Predator would look like. And there's what the alternate face, I guess, alternate face if you want to put the mask back on. It does very much look like something you would expect to find the shelves of toy stores, like Hills. Remember, Hills is where the toys are? That's actually, ironically enough, the place where I picked up my first Kenner Alien and Predator pack. It was a 2-pack. Picked that up at Hills. No, we don't have Hills in Canada. I had to trek in my smaller legs. My parents actually drove to over the border, and we picked it up at Hills. Whatever happened to Hills? They just, I guess they got bought out, they went out of business, I don't know. But either way, though, the mask does fit over its face. There's what the head portrait does look like. I always thought that the Berserker Predator, and now more importantly, I'm being reinforced by that when I'm looking at the figure, kind of looked like New Nightmare Freddy. I know, that's a bit of a stretch. The face sculpt, though simple, which is his intended purpose, does look really good. Something, again, I would expect if I could have seen this figure in the 80s along with the other Kenner line. This is literally what I would think the figure would look like if it existed back in the day. It's got some really nice coloring to it. Very muted colors. In fact, most of the color of the skin is this bluish gray. And then it's got these lighter colors here, very akin to Panthro from Thundercats. How's that for a reference? You've got a darker copper color making up the front section of its shoulder and on the top there, as well as the gauntlets on both sides, including the one that's going to have the blade right on the side, all keeping to that dark copper color. We move further down and we get once again down to its feet. Sort of a reluctant change that they ended up going with. Normally you would expect to find NECA figures to be very superposable, and because these are under the banner of a classics line, not only are you getting simplified articulation, but you're also getting things that probably wouldn't exist nowadays, and that's pre-posed figures. Pre-posed in the sense that he's got a permanent posed and a permanent arched foot. So when you are displaying the figure, you could put it straight forward, but it doesn't look right, and nor does it really stand right. I found, if anything, obviously you're going to want to keep the foot further back, and by all means, use one of these stands. I don't want you to feel like you're cheating as a collector by simply utilizing the peg holes. It's there to start off with. Why not attach it to the display stand? Don't cause yourself the fuss and the muss of trying to get this figure to stand properly. Just make use of a display stand. That's why NECA, after all, did create them. You might as well use what the company has made for you. And it certainly does cause displaying the figure a whole lot easier. Let's have a look at the articulation point on this guy. Now, he's relegated to 5 points articulation, so if you're into the favoring of retro figures, this is exactly what you're probably going to be getting and looking forward to getting. The head does have a swivel, although it's really, really tight. Moving it back and forth, it creaks, it squeaks, and it makes noises that you as an adult would probably make when you're getting out of bed. Oh, I have that noise happen frequently. But the head does rotate back and forth. You can rotate the arms all the way around. He has articulation. So I guess technically, because he does have articulation in one of the forearms, he does technically have 6 points of articulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That being the other possibility is that his legs do move back and forth. Wrapping up this, we're going to go ahead and put the mask back on. And again, simply a case of just lining everything up. You want to take like these little pieces. See how they stick inward? And you want to put them underneath the mandibles, the jaw, if you will, of the Berserker, and just kind of fit everything in place. Actually, you know what? It's supposed to go right above. I said below. It's supposed to go right above. Fit that in place. You'll hear a very satisfying snap. And then we can go ahead and put the cannon back onto his shoulder, omitting the missile, because I know if I hit it, it's going to go right across the room, and we're never going to see it ever again. And then for final touches, we're just going to go ahead and put the blade back into its forearm. Lines up right there. There we go. And like I said, we're going to wrap things up. I don't feel I'm doing a disservice to myself as a collector by utilizing a display stand. If it means that the figure's not going to fall over, then gosh darn it, I'm going to use a display stand. Overall, I'm loving this design. I love the fact that NECA Toys would go back not necessarily to basics, but that's basically what these figures are. Basic renditions of some of the figures that we have in our collections now. They've shrunk them down, they've simplified them, and in a way have made them very, very cool. Especially if you were like myself, who collected the original Kenner figures from that back in the 80s. Back maybe from Hills. Whatever happened to Hills? I don't know. Hills is where the toys are. What a catchy jingle Hills had. Ironically enough, living here in Canada, we never had a Hills. We had Kmart, and then we had Zellers, and then we had Woolco. Anybody remember Woolco? I'm doing all these flashbacks to my youth, and ultimately all really circles around the idea that the first time I picked up a Predator and Alien pack from Kenner, it was in Hills, and it wasn't even in Canada. Boy, oh boy, where memories will take you when you look at a toy line. I guess that's the intended goal when you look at the Classics line here from NECA Toys. It's not necessarily catering to everybody, but most definitely people my age bracket are going to jump for the chance of getting classic renditions of their favorite characters from current films, or 2010 at the very least, as representative of what could have been if this was existed in the Kenner days. Kenner was simplified, yes, and had basic articulation, but it was certainly a fun appeal to all of the figures that came out back in the day. Some of them were over the top, and while NECA has brought them back, given them the ultimate vibe feel, giving them articulation where they didn't have articulation before, it's kind of nice that NECA is also, while they're doing that, giving us Classics rendition of characters that never even existed in the realm of Kenner when Kenner was around. The fact that we would get a 2010 version of the Berserker Predator as if Kenner had created it, fine work, NECA Toys. I'm not clapping loudly, I'm mime clapping. Mime clapping isn't as loud and obnoxious to the viewers that are trying to watch this video, some guy clapping in the background. So a modest mime clap to you, NECA Toys. Well done for giving us some of these characters in the old Kenner vibe. If you managed to pick up the Berserker Predator for yourself, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of it, or based on this review and this review alone. I'd also like to send out, if I can, a big shout out thank you to the folks over at NECA Toys for sending this sample my way. If you guys are new to this channel or a longtime viewer, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And stay tuned. Keep your peepers peeled, because there's going to be a whole lot of reviews coming your way from the folks over at NECA Toys. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.